guess where I am? I am in Berlin now. We're in the Tiergarten in Berlin. I know it's the whole Corona thing, but I dared to move out of my safe space.
And maybe Anika, do you want to say who am I? Like,
No.
these people.
No, I think that's uninteresting for this.
They would never know, like, who is this random dude coming to your channel?
I just snatched him off the street after he told me where to find the toilet. And now he has to stay.
True, very true.
So Sanjay, I think I mentioned him before. We lived together in Neubrandenburg. We shared a flat as we studied the Masters for Landscape Architecture. And now he moved to Berlin because he did an internship here, and I think you're going to write your master thesis here as well, too. He's from India, so now I'm super trendy because I have international friends. And he's super trendy from his perspective.
I have international people as well. So.
We want to talk about introversion and extroversion and maybe ambiversion in between. For this part of the video, I'm going to ask him some questions that we've prepared so that we get to know his point of view, his history, his experiences, and maybe some future intentions or ideas. We'll come up with something.
Yeah, sure.
And in the other video that he's going to upload on his channel, he's going to do the same with me. So in order to see kind of the whole conversation, you have to visit both channels.
Exactly. You
Horrible.
have to do that.
You better do that. Okay, so...
Okay.
Okay. We can begin with kind of, what is your general understanding of how introversion, extroversion works for people in general and for you specifically?
Oh, I can start with saying, like, for a long time I had the wrong idea about introversion extroversion. Like, I was the person who thought, like, it's more about being shy and being outgoing.
Mm.
But I think now I'm getting to a point where I understand it's more about how you perceive social stimulation somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good change. So it's about how much you can take a social stimulation. For example, like for an introvert, it's much harder to like blend in a lot of social situations because they don't prefer that kind of atmosphere. But for an extrovert, they crave that sort of thing. So yeah, that's kind of my general understanding.
Is there a difference in how you viewed that whole thing in your childhood, adolescence, and then today?
Oh yeah, it's a big shift. So in my childhood, I was a very quiet kid. I always perceived as like I'm being shy. That's the kind of judgment that I got from outside. But it was in my adolescence that I got to know about the whole thing of introversion extroversion, and that's when I know it's not about shyness. It's just I don't prefer a lot of outgoing kind of activities.
Yeah.
And I think in my childhood I was more towards the spectrum, in the whole spectrum I was more towards the introvert side when I was growing up, and now I perceive myself as an ambivert.
Oh.
I really crave social situations somehow, and at the same time I need my quiet space. So
Okay. So ambivert means in the middle.
in the middle. So
And do you think that kind of the degree of how much you're introverted or extroverted is inborn, or whether it's trained or choice that you can make?
yes.
To what extent?
Yes. One good thing that I did recently is to go a little further in this topic, and I read a book from a great author called Susan Cain, who wrote a book about introversion. So it's called Quiet.
Good word for introversion.
Yeah, it's called Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. So that's a title. And she mentioned about this part exactly, how the genes play in the introversion spectrum. And according to her research, it says that like I think around 40% is coming from the genes.
Okay.
So we are born with a lot of
Character traits.
which say you would be an introvert or extrovert. So, but I can see that a lot of my ambivert part actually came from the surrounding. See that.
So what it kind of nurtured in you? Or?
Yes, exactly. It kind of like played a part where I became more comfortable to be a part of the groups. Exactly.
The social buzz.
The social buzz. That's true. That's very true.
When you say that to some extent it's inborn or genes related, where on the spectrum would you say your point of your, like, what your genes say is?
I am in a process where I kind of totally figuring myself out.
Mhm.
So the introspection part is always an ongoing process. We are
Yes.
still understanding ourselves on the go. So I think at this point in life, I can say this ambivert part is actually coming from the genes. That's the understanding for now, but it could change as I learn more about life anyway.
Okay, so how do you feel the self-perception of being an extroverted, introverted, or in between fits into a person's self-image, personality, or self-identity?
So personality wise, we can always say like genes. When we say the genes,
Mhm.
plays a big role in personality. Anyway.
Yes.
So that's pretty much covered. But how you perceive yourself and like how the world works for you.
Yes.
Because even for me, I can say it's a part of my identity. Being an ambivert, it's a part of my identity. I can say that
Mm-hmm.
because it says to what extent I can converse with the person, I can share my ideas, I can be part of the society. How I'm not part of the society, so it says a lot about my identity.
How you're online.
Exactly. Yeah, I started with a blog, but I can still see I'm much more comfortable sharing my ideas online
Yes.
than sharing to a group when I meet face to face.
Yeah. Because the confrontation is less
Confrontation, yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah, hate
intense.
confrontation. So.
Yes. You already explained a little about your story. What I'd be interested in as well is how was your environment as a kid, like your family and then your friends or school? Was it very extroverted or introverted, or where was that on the spectrum?
I would never say it was extroverted, but I can say my family, like my family and the people that were very close to me, they're very outgoing. For
Okay.
sure. And they were the kind of people who really love small talk. So that was not a right fit for me. I can see that. But I think on the go, I actually learned to find my place, find the corners where I can go read my book.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So I really found that way. But when I take the friendship part, I can say I had a lot of introverted friends.
Oh,
in
okay.
childhood. Yeah.
Okay.
But still, I never fit in anywhere. I can see that. It took a long time to find my place.
I mean, you're 25. If that's... It took a long time.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Very true.
For some people, they're still not even close.
Okay.
So how do you feel about where you are in your personal growth concerning intro and
Oh,
extrovertedness?
yes. Okay. This part I can totally divide into two parts.
Ooh.
So it's kind of going like before Europe and after Europe. So I can really see the growth part after coming here a lot. Because I'm finding myself in a place where I have to take the step to do everything for me. So I'm much more independent and I have to take all the efforts. I think this is where I'm actually knowing about that pattern actually. Maybe it was happening before, but
Yeah.
it's now that I'm actually listening to the call.
Because
somehow.
it's screaming so loud.
It screams so
maybe.
loud, maybe, yeah.
And how do you think that'll change when you go to
yeah.
India again?
I think it will be the same, but I have a much better understanding about people and how the society works, how the people work, how your mind works, how your head works. So that's an important thing. So I think I have a better chance of blending in with everything,
Coping.
coping with everything.
Wow.
That's true.
Even enjoying.
Oh yeah, that's true. Very true.
That's kind of a bit your story time
Story
part.
time.
Now, how are we going to pick which experience I ask you for?
You can go for random.
Okay, what am I feeling? Let's go for the small talk and superficial conversations or first encounters. What are they
Okay.
like for you?
Okay. This is also something that has shifted a lot because in childhood I could never place myself in a small talk.
What would you do?
Oh, I kind of escape from the small talk. That's the kind of thing that I would do.
Okay.
But now I'm much comfortable with that. But I think it's because I figured out my ambivert part, and I think I'm in a place in life where I understand I need social connection. I need people, and I need to go out, and that's kind of became a priority in life, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And small talk, it interests me somehow sometimes. But if someone is going for a small talk for a long time, very surface level conversations, that tires me. that is something that I can't stand.
You're out.
I'm out of that for sure. Yeah.
And first encounters?
This is something that I got better at. I can say that. I was very nervous in the past to make the first encounters, or I was not the person who would start the conversation.
Initiated?
No, I could never do that. I always let the other person start a conversation. So in that scenario, I could find myself alone in many places because I don't do the step to
Yeah.
like just chat with someone
Hmm.
in a sort of setting. But now I can say like I got better at it and I can start a conversation with anyone. And that's fine. Even now I'm in a place where I actually meet people on purpose and go out with them. So it's a big shift.
Hmm. Good job. So if we go a bit deeper, instead of just the superficial conversations, how is proper socializing or having friendships or any kind of other relationships play out for you? Or how does the extroverted introvertedness play out for
It's a good question.
you? We thought of that together.
It's true. I can say that I was always friends with introverts for a long time.
Mhm.
But now, when I take my friend list, I can find a lot of extroverts.
Oh.
And that's a big shift. But that's also something that I understand. Like, I like the high energy and I prefer it sometimes.
Mm.
The whole friendship thing, if I use it as a phrase, something that I use very casually in the past.
Oh, okay.
So I used to call friends that I know for some time. So they're just acquaintances somehow, but I just still call them friends.
They were all friends to you.
They were all friends to me. I had a very like vague idea about the word friendship,
Uh-huh.
but now I have a much deeper understanding about it, and now I think it's not something that I should throw everywhere. The word friend. So that's
Okay.
very sacred. That word is very sacred for me, and I
Mm.
think and I think for me to be a friend, it takes a long time sometimes. Yeah, it takes years to be friends with
Yeah.
someone. And
And sometimes it never happens.
it never happens. And it's all about emotional connection for me.
Yeah.
I can see that. It's more about um, how willingly they share their stories
Mhm.
and how much I can connect to that.
Yeah. Rather than doing stuff.
Exactly. Rather than going out together or drinking or going to a pub. I mean, you can call it friend. I wouldn't say that, but still, that's not friendship for
That's
me.
not. Yeah. That's not how it
yeah,
works for you.
Not for me.
Hmm. So once you're out or have been out socializing, what drains your energy most or fastest, and how do you get back to recharging?
Recharging for me is all about creative projects. I can see that. But it's more about passion. Maybe it's more about my dream. Maybe it's like that.
What kind of creative projects? Is it
So
still
that-
in there?
It's gone.
We've been attacked. Is it
So
still
that-
in there?
It's gone. What was the question?
Yeah. What was the question?
What kind of
Yeah. What
creative
kind of creative
projects?
projects?
Okay, for me it's reading, writing, YouTube, maybe
YouTube.
YouTube videos. But I can see that that's the kind of thing that actually re- make me motivates me a little bit. So this is the kind of stuff that motivates me. So creative, but still indoors and in my comfort zone. So I think that's the kind of thing that I prefer.
Nice and quiet.
Nice and quiet, probably, yeah. But I think I can't do that for a long time.
Mhm.
There is a limit for me, so after that, I will feel lonely somehow. So I need the social interaction with someone.
Reconnect.
Yeah, but it could be a phone call itself. That doesn't have to be a crazy function or a concert or anything. But,
Could be like this, sitting in the park.
exactly. And it should be a nice conversation, a deep conversation. That's the thing.
Meaningful of sorts.
Meaningful of some sort, yeah.
That tick, 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 tick.
I think we didn't go to the part where what drains me a lot.
Oh.
So, I like social interactions, but if it gets too much, like if I'm going out for 2-3 days in a row, I will feel really tired, and I really want to stay in my room and recharge myself. So that's the kind of thing that I want to do.
So when you go to an extroverted extreme,
Extreme,
you're out of
yeah,
balance.
out of balance. Yep.
And probably also when you go to an introverted extreme.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like, um, I'm okay with quietness. I'm okay with calm places, but I think I need a limit for that.
What hurts you more or what hurts you faster?
Oh, faster. I'm pretty sure it's the most extrovert stuff.
Okay.
That be faster.
Yeah. The next one is making choices and being interactive or active, taking action.
I can see myself taking a lot of self-negating choices in the past.
Oh.
Yeah, like purposefully trying to fit in. I did that. I did that a lot, and I know that doesn't work for me. But now, I think maybe it's the whole mental therapy part. I'm in a place where I can actually see what I want, what exactly that I want.
Mhm.
So I have a better idea about what choices to make.
What are more authentic to you?
Exactly, what fits me better,
Mhm.
or what fits my personality and what my priorities, choices. But I think I'm getting a lot better at picking the right choices.
Mm.
So nowadays it's more very ambiverted kind of activities.
Mhm.
So I still got with people. I like conversations and everything, but it's not with the group.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's the one-on-one guy. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah. Oh.
Okay, interesting.
Wow, that's not wrong.
Very
We can
true.
cut that out. That's maybe it goes a bit far. You're the guy for one-on-one conversations.
That's
That's
true.
what we wanted to
That's
say.
very true.
Okay, so one more when it comes to dealing with life. How do you cope, or how do you compute your thoughts and feelings? Where within you, and how does this happen?
So in the spectrum, okay,
Or general?
general.
Kind of would make sense.
Okay, I can say my life decisions and the pattern that I'm going through is very introverted. I can see that pattern.
Mhm.
That is very introverted.
Mhm.
But I'm actually finding a way where I am a part of the society.
Mhm.
I'm actually like purposefully doing some effort to putting some effort into making some choices that's kind of like okay with other people, right? Not being antisocial somehow.
Okay,
I say.
yeah.
That's the kind of thing.
So what do you do when you have emotions going on and you have to deal with them?
So in the past, I could find myself sitting alone and not talking to someone and just going like completely quiet. But now, the good thing I do is I actually call a friend,
Mhm.
talk to someone. I call a friend sometimes. So, so yeah, that's the kind of thing that even I mentioned it before that why social interaction is an important part for me.
Yeah.
And this is where I think I find myself. Like, I can really find a lot of comfort and
Oh, Jesus Christ.
yeah, a lot of comfort.
You know
and a
what
lot-
I've just noticed?
Mhm.
Do you see where the cable goes?
Wow. So did we speak the entire time without that?
Yes.
Interesting.
My microphone's connected too now.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Much better. And we're recording already, so we can just jump right in. We did some rearranging.
So
So when you go into daily, everyday life, you just go through your day. Where do you think your focus goes? Just in perceiving your environment.
with the whole ambivert thing, I can see myself finding the balance now. For me, a perfect day is always like staying inside until the evening, and then go out in the evening for a nice walk.
balance.
Yeah, for
Okay.
a nice walk, for a nice conversation, go with a friend, and that's kind of the perfect day for me. I think.
And when you look at people, what do you immediately think? Where does your brain jump to? I can make an example. Someone could look at a person and be like, "We could do so many things together," or someone would be like, "I would be interested. What makes this person tick?" Or you look at a
Yes,
person
yes,
like,
yes.
"I don't really care."
I think most of the time I feel like I don't really care if it's a complete stranger, but if someone that I know and someone like I had a first encounter with,
Mhm.
I think the next part would be, or do we click? Or
Okay.
can we vibe?
Okay.
That's the kind of next thing that I think.
And
about
then you would
people.
decide from there. what
From
to
there, exactly. That's
Okay.
true.
do.
So getting to know them is a big.
Has to happen first.
Yes, yes. But I'm someone who always wonder about how people work and how their mind works. It's a
Okay.
good pattern to identify.
But that's something you do in your head primarily, and
Primarily.
then only when you get to know them and like them, you.
Exactly. Go to
pursue
this.
that.
Take this second step.
Okay. How do you deal with extreme introverts or extroverts, or how do they show up in your life, or
Yes.
any experiences?
I have experiences actually. I know people who are extremely introverted,
Mhm.
and I don't have any problem connecting with them because I can always say that I'm good at starting conversation right now. So
Okay.
I can steer my conversation in a way that okay, I will make you say something. So
So when it's very
if I'm an
introverted
introvert
person.
person, I can make them tell their life story somehow. Like,
Okay.
I think I'm okay with dealing with that. Rather than going, okay, they are too nervous or like
Mm.
too, how what do I say, boring. So as
Mhm.
some people say, so I don't consider that boring anyway.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
I think it's the same goes for extroverted people as well. I kind of like to see where do their priorities in life falls and what do they consider the most cool, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of nice to understand it better
I agree. With everyone.
with everyone. That's right.
Like, two more questions.
Mhm.
One is, how do you perceive or how do you relate to the way that society views introversion, extroversion, and anything in between? How do you work with that?
Yeah, that is always something that I always try to say about, like even in my blog and even in the videos, I always try to talk about this issue because our society has a really wrong idea about introverts and extroverts. I mean, they just think, okay, an outgoing person is an extrovert and like a shy person is an introvert. That's the
Mhm.
general understanding.
Yeah.
But the first thing that I said about my understanding about the subject, like it's all about social stimulation.
Mhm.
That's the kind of thing that I want to spread to the people. Like, okay, this is why this person is not preferring a situation right now.
Mm.
This is why this person is avoiding that social function. So I think society has to do a lot of work in that area.
Evolve.
Yeah, rather than putting people into category, they
Mhm.
have to consider, okay, it's just a matter of priorities. And it's all about mental health anyway. So it's
Yeah.
important.
It matters. Makes a difference.
Yeah.
Now we go to when you kind of introvert or extrovert yourself. So do you have experiences that are either successful or unsuccessful where you extroverted yourself or where you introverted yourself? And how did that look like?
Introvert myself, I'm pretty sure that I didn't really have to do that much.
Okay.
Yeah. But extrovert myself, I have a lot of examples. The whole thing that I told about fitting in childhood. But for me, it was about going to all the social gathering, everything, and that adds pressure. That adds a lot of pressure to you. And now I know how to do that properly.
Okay.
So there were a lot of failed attempts. I can say that it goes more into a way like I'm trying so hard, but now I'm in a point where I don't have to try so hard. I just have to be myself. And sometimes, yeah, you have to push yourself a little further, but
Further than what's comfortable.
exactly. But you have to find that comfort zone in the end of the day.
Mhm.
And that's important.
Nice. Do you have techniques or tips that you could give people who want to either introvert or extrovert themselves, what they could do?
The same thing that I just said, that is, don't try so hard. Just be yourself. And I mean, somewhere in the world, you can still find people who like you for who you are. It happens.
It happens. And if there's someone who says, I'm, let's just say, very introverted and I want to learn to nurture my extroverted side, what can that person do?
Set your priorities first. That's the first thing. Like, you have to be more social. That's the goal. So make small steps, like go meet people. Yes, do that, but don't make it as the primary activity that you're doing.
Oh.
So
Don't sacrifice
don't
balance.
sacrifice. Yeah, don't sacrifice balance, and don't give up what makes you yourself. For example, for me, it's the creative projects that makes me myself. So if that words make you who you are, like don't give up on that and change entirely everything.
That's all for the experiences, I think. And now we can talk about your future plans and intentions for how to maneuver it in the future, the spectrum.
Yes. So one thing that I want to explore much further, the extroverted part of myself. Yes. So yeah, I'm ambiverted part exactly, but I can still find myself fidgeting myself a little bit through the social situations. So I'm trying my best to get better at that, purposefully meeting people and trying to get connect with people.
Basically, like training.
Training myself.
Really?
Exactly. So that's the kind of thing that I want to be better at, and how to articulate my words much better. So that's good storytelling. That's an important one for me.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of area that I want to.
Which makes sense because your thoughts happen a lot on the inside, and having to put them out is already an extroverted thing.
Yeah.
For the world, where do you see some growth dealing with that spectrum?
In our system and the whole idea about it, and the world has to stop the madness about group works somehow.
Really.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to collaborate and like connect
Yeah.
with people, but like allow yourself space to think about what matters, and then you can think about yourself and come together as a group
Mhm.
and then discuss.
Mm.
And maybe that would make a much better result somehow because you're allowing some headspace.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the kind of thing that I want to. And this thing is always reflecting in our educator system and everywhere, and even like for, I mean, our society always favor people who are outgoing, and when someone is not that outgoing, they say, okay, they're boring. That's it.
Yeah, or something's wrong.
Something is wrong.
They have to fix themselves.
Fix them. Yeah, that's the thing.
Which is
But-
the biggest bullshit.
Yeah, but rather than trying to find these patterns or trying to fix other people, like make sure like you have a better understanding about the topic.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I would say.
Nice. So now I have no idea how to finish off this lovely chat.
Yeah.
So we're on my channel now, right? I'm just
Exactly.
checking in. Okay.
But the thing is, you can actually see the other part of the story that I'm interviewing Anika about the same, not the same question, but the same topic in my channel.
Yeah, I'll put it in the
Link in the
description box. And you can explore his many creative projects that he already hinted at. He has a lot of them published. So when you go on this blog, you have a lot of like drawings, you have poems, you have just texts where he's almost journaling. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
really nice.
I hope,
Thank
yeah,
you.
shit. I hope you enjoyed this too.
I did. I really did. Oh my god, come on.
We could have more interviews. I like interviewing,
Oh, yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out, because we did this video first, we're going to find out if I like being interviewed as well. I don't know yet.
And this is something that we were planning for almost a year now, I think.
Oh, but planning.
Planning, yeah.
We were like, oh, this would be so nice if we did that.
Yeah, but I
at
think
some
we
point.
finally did the first step. So
Yeah.
maybe in the future we can still
Like,
make
go
more
back to it faster.
Yeah, collaboration videos. So maybe it works.
Hope so,
Let's see.
because he's kind of my, internet publishing mentor. Basically, just because he's the only person in my life who I personally know who does this, and because he's a couple of steps in experience ahead of me. So I made you the little internet mentor of mine.
I have no aura behind me right
Yeah,
now.
I drew a hat.
You drew a hat.
That was weird, but that's what happens in my head. I guess
And
we're
that's
gonna
it.
say goodbye from Berlin. I'm gonna move back to Neubrandenburg fast, and then I'm gonna move out of Neubrandenburg. So
Sad.
I hope I get some content pieces on that. Hold me responsible. That's not the
Yeah,
one.
I'm responsible for that.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh, that went fine.
Let's start the whole thing with a lot of shit. Maybe I should repeat the questions.
No, I think I got it.
No, for them.
Okay,
Because I didn't
sure.
put it well.